Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here at the Dana Lee Project. Mandy and I are going to be talking all about wellness influencer scams because the scamming is kind of getting out of control in our social media world. And if you are somebody who likes to watch these documentaries and keep up on that stuff, please let us know. Comment under the video.
Raise your
Uh,
hand like me. I'm a raising my hand.
I'm a raising my hand.
Okay.
So I mean, Mandy and I, and actually several of my clients will talk about this kind of on the sidelines that we really enjoy like cult documentaries and the psychology behind persuasion and how that it really doesn't, the more I'm learning about it and observing, it really doesn't have to do with your intelligence. The smartest people can end up getting influenced in a way, I almost feel like, and I have heard this before from a few cult experts, saying that if you think that you could never be influenced, you're probably the first one to be influenced.
And isn't that the beginning of cultish? They even say that in the beginning. If you think you're too smart to be, you're probably already in a cult.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I say that and preface our conversation because I just believe we all have these points of vulnerability in our lives when we have had down times and we just want to feel better and sometimes desperately feel better, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all those things that we talk about here on my channel and in my community. And I I think that we're all susceptible
Hmm.
to wanting to hear the thing that's going to make us feel better. So let's just like level the playing field there and just agree that we've all been at times in our lives where we've just desperately wanted this horrible feeling of dread or sadness or despair or fear to go away, and positioning yourself in alignment with that message of like giving you light and hope and possibility. That's where it can start. And there are definitely influencers out there who are so kind and so real and so trying to make a difference in a very positive way. I mean, that's like us,
We
right?
hope. We hope.
We hope. I
We're
want
doing
to
our
shed
best.
light. Yeah, I also will say we're not entering into a codependent relationship where a lot of these other influencers, that's really what they want. They want you to lean on them to feel like you need them. And that's not what I do here. I really want to empower you, to give you a sense of trust in yourself, a sense of knowing about yourself, especially breaking away from diet culture,
Right.
right? Mandy, right? We talk about that quite
Mhm.
often,
Yeah.
of that it can take a long time to rebuild the trust in yourself after being told year after year, oh no, you can't possibly know what food to eat and in the quantities and what's best for you. Oh no, no, you can't possibly know the workout. We have to tell you. You have to seek outside yourself. So that trust has been broken. And so that is, it takes time to rebuild that and repair that, and to be in aware and insightful along the way. It's just a practice. So these we're going to specifically talk about the one that came out about Belle Gibson. That is a docudrama
Mhm.
based on her this real life story. And of course, everything we share here, it's like, the disclaimer of this is our opinion. We want to just share like what do we think about the behind the scenes. Me being in fitness for 30 years, being somewhat of an influencer, I guess you could say. I've been, had my YouTube channel for a long time now, since 2012, been putting out videos and content for a very long time. So, in some capacity, I can be part of that content creation out there in social media. So, it's part of my world in the wellness community, and I've seen so many things come and go and trends happen. So when this came up, and that was the first time I heard of her in this docudrama. Have you heard of Belle Gibson before?
No, not until the docudrama. I had
Docu.
never heard of her, but I've heard of a lot of others. Like, just there's so many. There's so many that it's like there could be a whole series of different types of people who are pushing different types of things. And I I think like my side of it is like my perspective is kind of like the person who's tried everything. That's who I think I am. Like you, I think you had the benefit of schooling and an education, and kind of that educated opinion of how you're going to feed your body, as opposed to like me through so many years of going, maybe this will work, maybe this will work, maybe this will work. And then watching people on YouTube, especially, telling me what you need to do is this, and this, and everything will be better. I can't tell you how many times I have followed someone on YouTube specifically because it's been around for like now 10 years, maybe. I don't know, but um watching them influence and then like it's almost like the thing of like constant reinforcement. Every couple of days they'll drop another video talking about how what we're doing working is working, and how if you just did all the things, and how many times I've tried to do all of the things that they told me to do and it just didn't work, and how I blamed myself. I blamed my I blamed me for being unable to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I followed this lady for the longest time, who her thing is about getting up early. She gets up early. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. The 5 a.m. Club is a book. And then there's all these influencers who do the 5 a.m. Club, and it's like, oh, you have to get up, you have to move your body, which means exercise, drink water, wash your face, read something intelligent, like that's going to feed your soul, not just some smut. You have to read something that's going to educate you. And I was trying to remember the name, Rachel Hollis. Rachel Hollis is still out there. Rachel
Oh,
Hollis.
Rachel Hollis. I
Mhm.
never got pulled into her at all.
Oh, sister friend, Rachel
Yeah,
Hollis. I
yeah. I
was,
remember when her book came out because so many people were like wanting to read it and or reading it and talking about it and girl wash your face. There was
Mhm.
a vibe about it that repelled me.
Well, girl, you are lucky.
I never got pulled into her world. There was something about it that was very contrived, and I felt it right away. And
Good
I
for
was
you.
like,
I was
I
not.
just don't want anything to do with it. But however, I do understand why people did. I get it. But it's going back to like wanting to get that message that you're seeking to like, oh, well, this is meeting me to like give me hope to
Yeah.
like a solution to whatever.
Mhm.
Oh, if I just do this, this ritual in the morning and I'm up at 5 and then I
Yes.
do this, I read, and then I'm gonna meditate and I'm gonna move
And
my
she drinks
body.
her green smoothies, and she's got the perfect husband and the perfect marriage, and she had all these cute, beautiful children who all seemed perfect. And she came from basically the thing is that she came from um a poor Southern family, I guess. And now, as things come out, this is what I was learning back then, and what I believed back then is that she came from a poor family, a religious family, and she left all of that. She graduated high school early. She went to LA and she just pulled up her bootstraps, never went to college, and became extremely successful through years of doing like being a writer. She wrote a couple books. She did a blog back when blogs were a thing, and got her following. And before you know it, she's got this huge following. And then she wrote a book. Girl Wash Your Face was the big book that was like a self-help book. And the whole idea is get over yourself. Girl Wash Your Face is like get over your bullshit and just keep working harder. Work harder, get over your shit, girl, wash your face.
That's why it didn't resonate with me because by the time she put that book out,
Hmm.
I found my own crack in my foundation of work hard. If you work hard, you're going to get X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
And that whole belief system for me just crumbled
Hmm.
because I had run, if you've been following me for a while, you may have known I ran a gym years ago. And when I opened the gym, it was in the alignment with the recession. So I wasn't able to really make things work as hard as I tried. I worked 12, 14 hours a day sometimes, 7 days a week. So working hard, I walked away from that whole experience not believing that that was really the answer. Do I believe that there's some hard work and some elbow grease involved in success and in improving yourself? Fuck yes, I do. However, to the point of that it's so emphasized on hard work was like I was rejecting those concepts because that was fed to me just like our diet culture, things fed to you literally, right? That is like, wait a second, I don't think that's true. So I was reframing and rebuilding my relationship to work and hard work.
Hey, friends, are you like me and are super excited about spring? I can't wait. I'm loving a little bit of sunshine poking through the windows and the birds chirping and all that fun stuff. I just love the change of seasons. Well, on April 26th and 27th, we are having a springtime refresh and revive retreat. Say that 5 times fast. Refresh and revive retreat. And we're all going to be there. All the cool kids are going to be there. And it's going to be so much fun. As we get closer to the event, more details will be announced on our website as well as on our Facebook page. But in the meantime, if you want to come, go ahead and grab yourself a spot. We will have the link in the description. Can't wait to see you guys there. It's going to be great.
Because I still have fantastic work ethic. I mean, look where we are now, right, Mandy? We're working together, building our
Yeah.
little empire in this corner of the world, and on a mission and having really
Yeah.
this really awesome vision. However, not the sacrifice of my marriage, motorcycle riding, traveling, like meeting a friend for dinner, going hiking in the middle of the week, like not at that sacrifice.
Hmm.
And so I think that that undertone of the message at the time seemed
Yeah.
like, yeah, girl, wash your face, suck it up, go do the thing. Wake up at 5 a.m. I don't care if you don't want to wake up at 5 a.m., go do the thing. I was beyond that at that point in my life. Like that, nope, nope, figure that part out. That's not the formula.
Hmm.
So, but I do understand why a lot of people fell in line with that and her message. I do get it.
Yeah. And it was new. It was there's this it was new in the way that like I think that men had been talked to that way for a long time, but women were like, one, a woman is telling me to just get off my ass and do it. That's cool. Like, I like that. Girl power, but also in a way that's like a little bit more aggressive than like girl power. Let's just all like, and the idea of like self-care and like getting up at 5 in the morning because I want to see her idea was if you get up at 5 a.m., you're going to do all the things that you want to do and then take care of your family and then go to work and then do all the things. Where like for me, I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. I get up at like when I feel like it. And I was so tied down by the fact that I just can't do what I have to do. I must just be X, Y, and Z. I just must, this just must be who I am. But then every book that I read from Rachel Hollis, and every time she would have her lives and she would do a YouTube video, or she would unapologetically tell you what to do and tell you that if you're not getting results, it's your fault. I just kept on buying it and feeling it and then there's all these other people who are also with her and she's got a big business and at that time it was before COVID, so it was a while ago. That was like my life. My life was Rachel Hollis. And it's so funny because like now my family will like joke about it and be like, have you heard of Rachel Hollis? Do you know who Rachel Hollis is? And I'm like, I know, because I would talk about her like she was the second coming of Christ. And I didn't know her. She didn't know me. But I was like, if I could just, get all these things, get all the to-do lists done. And it's funny because just like any other freaking thing, I did get a lot of things done in the beginning, but it wasn't who I was. So it wasn't my authentic self. So it was like I started to like digress. And then I would realize I wasn't getting as much done as I should. And I digress. So that's where I can say that and then um, if you know anything about Rachel Hollis, in 2020 during COVID, her business failed because it was out of her control. Shit happens. And then during COVID, she would talk about what her and her family were doing during COVID. And she would say, like, oh, me and my husband, we make sure to go on car dates. We go for rides and stuff. And then like that one week she's talking about how great her marriage is. The next week that she's telling everybody that she's getting a divorce. Now, I mean, she lost a lot of people because of how fake she was, talking about how great her marriage was. And that really was like the big for me.
Not only talking about how great her marriage was, did you know that they had programs specifically on relationships
Yeah.
and they took people's money
Oh yeah. Like
to
big
actually
conventions.
coach people on building a healthy marriage. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, that was a total lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest demise. It's like
Mm-hmm.
not only like, okay, that's one thing to say on social media, look at our car date and look at us
Mm-hmm.
making, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to put a program together and collect people's money
Mm-hmm. Yep.
behind this premise of this promise
Mm-hmm.
that you have these answers in what it takes to have a healthy marriage.
Right.
That's what's so appalling about it.
Yeah. And then come find out a couple years ago, I don't know if you know this, Dave did pass away from heart attack. They believe it was brought on by drugs. And the weird thing is like she doesn't talk about it, which really pisses me off because she like shoved her relationship and those kids in our faces for so many years. And I really think that it would be helpful to a lot of people if she could at least say like, yes, back when we were doing all this, I had a codependent relationship with my husband and I did whatever I could to pretend like he was fine. Like that would be really fucking helpful, actually, instead of pretending like he didn't exist.
Yeah. And she also shut comments off and things like that. Like she was completely shutting it down. I have mixed feelings about that because some of
Hmm.
it is, I lost someone to suicide. And so there's a certain part of you that's like, this is really private. And to be in the public eye like that on her terms, and especially with her children, I mean, she does have a right to decide what she's going to talk about and to what depth. She really doesn't owe her platform anything, I don't think. That's what it comes down to,
Hmm.
because they had already divorced at that point, right? So I don't know. I mean, I can see where some of the fans may feel like they need more of an explanation or wish she would speak on it. I'm going to say, I bet she can't even articulate it. She can't put it into words, otherwise she would.
Yeah.
Not ready to speak about it until you're ready to speak about it. And
Mhm.
it's, gosh, I wasn't even in that world and it was still devastating to hear.
Hindsight to when they were on screen and they were talking about how great everything is. I would love it if she was to come forward and say, you know, this is what happened. Because the thing is she never does. She never talks about her weaknesses. She never talks about them in a way that, like, you guys, that was really crappy that I wasn't honest with you. And I was going through some really crappy stuff. And I'm really apologetic about it. It would never happen because I've realized that if she does anything wrong, there's always a wonderful lesson that she figures out that she will profit from. Didn't see that coming. Which is amazing.
Mm.
She wrote this book, Putting Life Back Together When Your World Falls Apart, which was like, it's not helping at all. It's like she thinks that she did, like, this isn't a way of like saying, oh, but her world fell apart. And that was about her marriage falling apart. But
So
it
she,
wasn't,
okay, so now I'm understanding. So she didn't even cop to it to address it, like the level of honesty wasn't there with what
yeah.
was happening behind the scenes, and there was never really accountability or an honesty with that, which brings us back to what we were going to discuss with Belle Gibson.
Right, let's go
um,
back to that. We went
yeah,
off on a
right, like
tangent.
I know we started with that, and but it's still under that wellness influence.
Right.
It's still very much on topic, and we can honestly, if I scroll through it, we can pull out dozens of examples of this.
Over and
um,
over again.
but I do believe that's the other problem that Belle Gibson's following had, is that she did that 60-minute interview after the fact, and the interviewer was so good, and she still could not speak the words to tell the truth.
Right.
There was like a whole level of denial. Like she was in such denial, she couldn't even say it.
Yeah.
And similar to we were watching Scamanda, which is
Amanda.
Amanda Riley, and that's a very similar, if you're not familiar, or maybe you are, but we're not, no spoilers necessarily. I don't know. Maybe
Mm.
there are some spoilers that we're going to talk about, but the premise is these two women separate. I mean,
Separate
Belle Gibson,
countries.
separate countries. Belle Gibson is in Australia,
Hmm.
and Amanda Riley was in
Utah,
uh,
I
Utah.
believe.
Mhm. Yep, because I believe it was like Mormon church. Could it have been she
No,
was involved in?
no,
No,
it
it
was like a
wasn't.
born again mega church. And I'm gonna look it up
Oh,
while we're talking.
okay. So basically, these women both lied about having cancer and built two separate stories. Belle Gibson built a whole huge following back in the day when apps were just becoming popular. It was like this recipe app, and it was all based on, oh, I cured my brain cancer by eating healthy and eating whole foods, and the Gerson method and coffee enemas and things like that, and built her whole empire on that. So was indirectly collecting money because she was selling her cookbook and selling her app. Whereas Amanda Riley lied about having cancer so she could raise money. There were fundraisers she was having, and the money she collected to go towards her medical expenses, she was pocketing that money. So there were, like, different applications for their lies in different ways, but the ramifications of it was still that, the scam was like, I mean, they had both had people who just, they had that hope, and that, like, and even that, the cheerleading, the attention, and it was all a lie.
There's well, first of all, I looked it up and I was completely wrong. She was in California. San Jose, California was where Scamanda was. Going back to apple cider vinegar,
Belle Gibson.
Belle Gibson, and the way that she was so like latched onto her lie that even when approached with the truth, and even though she said she knew the truth and she had admitted to the truth, she backs into the lie again. And I don't think that money is I want to make sure that I say this too about her, is that for her, I think the biggest problem isn't the money, where she did make a lot of money on the app. And I don't think the actual app hurt anybody. It was just really nice recipes.
Yeah.
It was the idea that these people who had cancer are looking at her and her bright face and not being tired and all of that and just going on with her day because I drank enough water and I don't have whatever. And she eats what she's supposed to eat according to the app, then she's not gonna, then the cancer will disappear, which I think you can see that like a lot of people were affected by that, like to in the fact that they like passed away because they thought if she could do it, I can do it. And I think that being young too and wanting to stay young and beautiful, and if you're young and you have cancer, man, I mean, we're only young once, and deciding to go through chemo and go through all of that and be sick and lose your hair. Being in your 20s is just so fun and you're young and you've got like no wrinkles and no stretch marks and losing that so abruptly as well as the fear of dying, someone out there saying, you don't have to do any of those things. You don't have to do any of those things. Just eat what I tell you to eat. Look at me, I'm fine really probably looked good. And like I said, the only thing that I can you think, oh, you're crazy to even believe this lady because cancer is such a scary thing and you should just do whatever you can to get well. Why are they believing this woman? Same reason why I got up at 5 a.m. in the morning because with Rachel Hollis, because I wanted what Rachel Hollis had. And she told me if I do what she does, I'll be like her. And exactly the same thing happened with this lady is um
Belle
Belle
Gibson.
Gibson. Yeah.
Belle.
Belle Gibson, every time Belle
Think
Gibson would show
think
herself,
Mel Gibson.
I know. Um, I would find myself in, you'd find yourself in a place where you're like, well, she says it's her, it's good for her, it's good for me, I'm going to do it. It makes perfect sense. I get it, I understand. And I'm so sure that their families were just like so scared, like, please, please, please.
What's tricky about her is that they were not able to bring any criminal charges on her.
Yeah,
So she has fines, but there was no direct link to any deaths. It
right.
could people have died from this, of course,
Mhm.
because and perhaps some of it is that chemotherapy and radiation is fucking scary and
Mhm.
it's harsh and it is exhausting and it is expensive. So of course, there's going to be like, wait, what? There's this other way and I don't have to go through those channels and yet still beat it and be in remission. That it's that hope of and I believe that I just believe a crossover. I think that 100% of one thing is never the thing. I mean that's the same thing with fitness. It's not 100% of one thing that's going to give you all the things. An integration of things, and you've got to, again, going back to trusting your body, and what's best for you. And I think that, but those kinds of messages really prey on that vulnerability of the fear of the, chemicals treatments and that mainstream way that the medical community handles cancer. Can, of course, how you eat and how you're taking care of yourself, sleeping, hydrating, eating as like clean food, if that's what you want to call it, right? Trying being minimal with like extra ingredients and preservatives. Of course, anything that you can build in your favor to build up your immune system and your nutrition and your nourishment is going to put you in a better, stronger position to fight the cancer. But it can't be, all the one thing,
Right.
all this. Yeah. So that was, I could see why she ended up building that such a following because it's the thing that we all want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Always. It's just, it really goes hand in hand with diet culture and with anything like that. It's like, tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do so I don't have to, tell me what to do and tell me that it's going to be easy and tell me it's not going to suck. And it never, the reality is like nothing is ever easy. But also, if you've ever seen someone with cancer and how they turn gray real fast, like their skin tones, like they lose all of their brightness. Belle Gibson did not lose that, and she was fighting cancer her own way. And
Mm.
but let's talk about because I could just like dwell on this forever because like my thought I just feel so bad for these people who followed her. But the reason why you can't do anything is because it was a con. It wasn't like the story behind her app and the story behind her book was bullshit.
Mhm.
That was bullshit and it really screwed people over, but you can't you can't actually go to jail for lying. You know, unless it's stealing from like unless you actually put a dollar sign behind it, which she didn't. You
No,
really did. You did get the app. You did get the recipes, you
yeah,
know?
but
So,
what she messed up with is the guise of the fundraising though, that where she's going to donate some of her proceeds for a book signing or whatever event she was going to do, donate it towards or give money to a family that they could and their child could afford, to have this medical treatment, and none of those funds got transferred. That's where she screwed herself.
mhm.
Because if there was at least that happening, I mean, thank God though, because she was caught. That's
Yeah.
ultimately she was caught.
Yeah.
So that put an end to that. But yeah, her book itself or the app, it's like the recipes. So there wasn't, it's the story behind the thing. Whereas Amanda Riley was very much saying and even showing pictures of her being in the hospital with the IV and look, I have cancer and her, but she did go to jail, and even the judge didn't even want that minimum sentence. He sentenced her for 60 months instead of 18 because he's like, nope, she's going to do it again. So that was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Even the lawyer, the prosecutor was like,
And did you know that I was just watching a podcast because, of course, she, from being in jail right now, because she's in jail right now, she's in like a minimal security prison. She's been making herself sick, and she goes to the emergency room at least once a month. And her lawyer is saying that she's so sick that she shouldn't be in jail, that the jail people, the hospital at the jail or whatever, can't take care of her. So like, and there is something like that. Like if someone does get cancer in a minimum security prison like that, they will, and if they've done the minimum or whatever, there will be like, I forget what it's called, but there's a law, like just because they're obviously not going to go home and party if they're sick like that. So there is a rule like that, but what she's actually doing and what she's been documented by the nurses and the doctors when she goes to the ER is that she's making herself sick. She has Munchausen syndrome, and the doctor would like look at her chart or whatever and see that her history and why she's in jail. And then the lawyer actually said that the doctor was biased because of what she was in jail for. Like, don't you do that? Don't you like look at someone's history and say, well, I see your blood pressure keeps going up, so I think you might have high cholesterol. That's what you have to do. You have to look into someone's history. So yeah, funny, right?
yeah.
Wild stuff.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level of sickness of the and for her, yes, the money, but I think it's also the attention. The attention that, well, for both of them.
Right.
The attention that was given from being sick.
Yeah. Adoring fans.
Yeah. The accolades, the sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just for being a victim of cancer,
Yeah.
Freeze on that.
And it makes it so sad for the people who really care and wanted to help Scamanda. And then, even for the people who invested in the app, those people gave her a chance.
Mhm.
Some because she didn't have any specialty or anything. She was just a girl with cancer. That's why she got the job. That's why she got the app. That's why she got the book. Because that was like,
Yeah.
feel like a fool. I would anyways.
Yeah. And yeah, none of us want to feel like the fool. Like
Mhm.
I got fooled. I was fooled. I bought into it. It's a very difficult thing to reconcile and admit even, so it's not just that person admitting the truth of the lie, but then all the followers who also have to like admit they were duped, and
Yeah.
that's hard. And that's a whole nother process, right?
I must say, from my experience with Rachel Hollis, going back to that,
Mhm.
I was in a state of mourning. Honest to God.
Mhm.
It was the weirdest because never met her. I don't know her, but I had this parasocial relationship with her and her husband and her kids, and I was rooting for them. And when they came out and said that, our marriage is over, I was like, what happened? How? How could that possibly be? And I was just blown away. And yeah, I mean, I'm assuming like at a much, much bigger level that happening for the people um, who followed her recipes when they had cancer for Belle Gibson, but also for Scamanda, Amanda Riley, who people just gave, one person gave her entire check, like $750, her entire commission check. She worked so hard for that money. And she's just like, you know what? I want to give it to you. It feels good for me to help you. What a kick in the teeth.
Like to receive that, knowing that other person worked their ass off for that and they're giving it to you, that's a whole nother level of, I don't know what diagnosis that is. Narcissism, sociopath. I have no idea like if she was diagnosed with anything, but to accept that, I mean, whew, I can't. I mean, come on. We talk about it all the time in our community that we like have a hard time if somebody wants to buy us lunch.
Yeah.
It's like, no, 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 no. I got
I
it.
got the money. Don't buy me a coffee. I know.
So like,
I know. Yeah.
Like, I can't, I have no idea how to be capable of something like that to that extent. That's like, and I'm grateful. I'm
Also,
grateful that I can't relate and I can't even like, I don't even want to put myself there if I'm being honest.
yeah,
It's like,
we
nope.
were talking about that the other day. If I like owe someone money, it bothers me. Like if
Yeah.
I owe someone $5, it bothers me, let alone knowing that I took someone's $750 commission check or knowing that I'm lying about cancer, knowing that I'm lying about like the pictures of myself with the things in me. How do you sleep at night? I can't sleep because of the news. And I can't even, that's not me. That's just the news. I'm sitting here tossing and turning, worrying about
Hmm.
something that has nothing to do with me, let alone something that I made happen. Ooh, how do they sleep? Like, bothers me. Like, if I were to tell you something and then like find out that I was wrong, I'd probably have to call you and let you know or text you and say, yes, it was blah, blah, blah. Lying
Hmm.
is not, lying makes me, my skin crawl. Because,
Hmm.
first of all, probably lucky because I always get caught when I was a kid. I always got caught if I was trying to get away with something. I always got caught. So I have this thing like, if I speed, I'm gonna get caught, you know, or whatever. Not so much speeding, because speeding is kind of like just me and the cops, I guess. But like, I couldn't imagine doing something and being okay with it and just going on and living your life and being like, yeah, this money's great. I'm gonna go get my nails done and oof.
Because you and I value integrity
Yeah.
and and yeah, like that's it's a high value. We value living in integrity and going through what you've gone through to become sober.
Yeah.
That's part, I mean, that's part of your steps.
Yeah.
You like to fess up and to acknowledge and to apologize and to, make amends. That's a step.
Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
and it's a step that really never ends because they're like little, just like so that's probably why you're so sensitive to it because you put so much work into repairing,
Hmm.
all the damage that you had created in that phase of your life and, the collateral damage that continued after that because once that momentum starts, it kind of like, it takes
Hmm.
a little bit to slow it down and bring it to a halt. So I imagine that is where a lot of that also comes from for you.
Yes, that's 100% true. Um, Dana and I were talking about something a long time ago, that someone had said I said something, right? Remember this? And I was like, did I say that? Because I'm just, blah, 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 so I'm like, how could I have said that? And then I kept on going through, like, checking it off, like, and then I realized, nope, I would have never said that because if I said it, it was a lie. And I never lie. So I know for a fact I never said that. It was one of these, a weird conversation, but it doesn't matter. But it bothered me enough that I did call you and tell you, I just figured it out. I definitely
This
didn't say
checks.
that. This is why
Yeah.
I know I would never lie
Mm.
about it. And if it's something silly. So, it was yeah, it's one of those, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to know about yourself is that you don't lie. And then after I said that to you, I was like, because I know I don't lie, because I have to take an inventory every single day. And I have to look at my day and say, do I owe someone an apology? Do I have to tell someone something? Do I do all the things? And I don't want to have to. It's just not in me anymore. I used to walk around in my day to day worried I'd bump into someone that knew my bad story. And now I don't, it's been so long. Now I feel because I've cleaned up all of that shit from the past, it's become a completely different environment. So I don't want to go there ever again.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't. Yeah, for me, a while back, I want to say this was last year. I have a mastermind group that's like for some of the ladies, advancing out of the mentorship program who are ready for just the next level of accountability in our lives and other things when you're ready to work on things besides the food, when you realize it's not the food. But anyway, in that group, we had done a book club, The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck. And that was an incredible book. And because that's the telling yourself the truth every day, like not even the white lies, it's like how, so even when, you know, I think this comes also back to the people pleasing and making sure, oh, I want everyone to like me, so it's okay if I lie because I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I've just come to terms with it's not up to me to manage someone else's feelings, and it's okay for someone to be disappointed or feel bad if I can't make an event they invited me to or something like that,
Yeah.
instead of just lying about it, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's like it takes a lot of practice and a lot of guts and a lot of courage to be honest to that extent. And it's something that has to be important to you. If it's not important to you and you think, ah, whatever, like a little white lie. Oh, it's just a little white lie,
Yeah.
can become a slippery slope.
I don't even do that.
So
I mean, I might on
I don't,
accident, like I said.
yeah.
I had this funny breakthrough where I realized that I used to always tell people bullshit about why I was late. It was never my fault, first of all. I'd be like, because I'm always late. I'm like a late person. And I'll be like, oh, I might say, oh, there was traffic, or the light was long, or the kids took forever. I'm so sorry, or blah, blah, blah. And it was all bullshit. The reason why I was late was because I was just late. Like I wasn't paying attention to the time, or, you know, I I hit the snooze button a little too one more time or something. And now when people, first of all, I don't say anything when I'm late. I'm just late, or I'll tell them the truth. Oh yeah, I slept in. Or oh yeah, I was watching a TV show and I totally forgot what time it was.
Yeah, like what's wrong with telling that truth? It's
Yeah.
interesting, right? Instead of being like, oh, I was caught behind this truck and then I got caught behind a bus and then there was a bus stop and there was schools getting out and I had to stop. So it's like, can you just say like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just funny. It's just
Yeah.
funny. Like just, yeah,
And so
yeah.
it made it also so that like I didn't believe other people too, because they'd be like, you're right, you're probably just late, and if you say it enough times, it's like, sure, people just sure, Mandy, I'm sure there's always traffic where you are, but not us. It's kind of a thing. So yeah, lying is definitely not a
Yeah.
thing anymore, thank God. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't have to live in that world anymore where I'm afraid of who I told what to.
Mhm.
Never again.
Yeah, and so going back to the whole wellness influencer and the scams and the lies, honestly, it comes back to there is a huge part of themselves they cannot accept. You know, they want to be something other than who they are, what they are, and aren't getting their needs met
Yeah.
in some capacity. And no doubt, I can't help it. That's the part of me that wants to understand like the human psyche of what drives those people to begin with to even come up with a scam or continue a scam or a con. And I thought we could close with just touching on, at least in my world where I come from, in the fitness world, the con and the lie from a lot of these fitness influencers is behind the scenes they really have they have body dysmorphia, they have eating disorders, they have dysfunctional eating, and on the front end of their social media you would never know it.
Hmm.
So that's another level of these wellness influencers that are also, but the thing about that is they may know that they're showing like a lie. They're just showing the healthy food and the plates and this is my life and not showing the background of really what's happening
Hmm.
is it's hard for them to come to terms, right? It's like with their own disorder. Or where do I go? Or maybe if I show this to a certain extent, I will eventually live into that healthy life. But you're only as sick as your secrets.
Yep.
Like if you keep hiding behind those lies, it
Hmm.
eventually comes crashing down. And eventually there is cracks in the crevice, like in the foundation, you can see.
Mhm.
And I can see it. I have a trained eye, so when I'm looking at a social media account with a, I can pick it up. I
Yeah.
can usually pick it up. And it's not that they mean to be lying to their following. I think it's that they're doing the best they can with things that they have not reconciled within themselves. And then, of course, I can relate to being in the fitness industry and really feeling trapped. Now I
Mhm.
have this awareness. Where do I go from here? My entire image and my entire identity and my entire following is built on this thing. And now what happens when I want to change the direction because I really care about my mental health and I really need I need the help. So it becomes a very like a trap. It's like so it starts to compound and I get, so I guess that part of me does have sympathy and will give them the benefit of the doubt of how it can get so big and beyond like how do you reel it in, you
Mhm.
know? So it's
And
complicated.
and I think that the community, our America, where we live, really celebrates it. Like we celebrate perfectionism, we celebrate perfect body, we celebrate it, we follow it. Um, you know, there are very few like chubby exercise influencers, like who are moving their body and doing all the things and living the great life. But there's like an extra this and extra that. People aren't going to follow that because they believe we've been taught that whatever they say isn't working for them, even though it is working for them. It just doesn't look perfect. So this perfection is the imperfect isn't rewarded. It's just the way it is, unfortunately.
So I guess more of this stuff being exposed can really be helpful, though, to our training our eye in really seeing um, what is authentic and true versus what is a facade.
Hmm.
And, um, so I think that's what's good about a lot of these documentaries coming out and these things coming to light and more with social media and the exposure that we have. Then we also have the choice of finding those accounts that are different body sizes and types and they're legit and they are legit helping people like attract similar, right? So that way it's like, let me give you hope that what the body that you're in, let's move it. Let's see
Yeah.
what we can do from here. How do you feel? How can you start to feel more accepting of the body that you're in? So that's the cool thing about social media too, though. There's downfalls with it for sure, but there's also that type of exposure to like we had back in the day, Shape magazine, fitness magazine. There was nothing else. There was no other exposure to see what was possible in different size bodies and different shapes and different colors and different textures and heights and there wasn't enough variety. Those
Hmm.
magazines did not provide it. So if you're in tune to it, you can start to curate your feed and you can unfollow and you
Yep.
can start to find the influencers who feel more genuinely connected to the message like in the path that you're on, so that's a good thing to come out of it,
Like us, for example.
yeah,
We're
like
here
us.
for you in the body that you're in today.
Yeah, and you'll never see, and I've never ever done this ever, before and after shots ever. I've never done before and after shots for any of my fitness programs in my gym in any of my marketing, none of that ever ever ever. I think you're more than your body. I think that there are things way more interesting than your body about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our integrated approach of becoming, a whole human, the Dana Lee project, the Mandy project,
Hmm.
the you project. You're more than your body. And
Yeah.
that's my message.
Yeah. And like what we talked about last week with, me and my me changing, trying to change my perspective because of this new body. It's like, yeah, Mandy, you're more than your body. There's so much more to me, and there's so much more to you.
I, you know, I, it's interesting when I hear these kind of scams and these stories.
Hmm.
I can't help but self-reflect to say I'm really happy with my life. I'm really happy with what I've created, what I've built, what I am building, the marriage I have, the relationships I have, the clients I have. When I'm exposed to that kind of thing, I'm like, ooh, like it ends up becoming more grounding and puts
Mhm.
perspective into things. And of course I have sympathy and empathy for anyone who's involved in those things for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
We could talk about this for hours, Mandy. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in today and talking a bit about these wellness influencers. We're certainly interested to hear if you have connected with any of the ones we talked about today, or if there was other wellness influencers maybe you had followed and then found out some truth about them that was it a grieving process for you too? Because that's what you touched on before, Mandy, is
Yeah.
like was kind of like, wow, I found this out and I'm like grieving this person I thought it she was or he was, and that's not the truth. And yeah, that's why it's very be careful to put anyone up on a pedestal.
Yep.
Be careful, be
Yep.
careful.
And then with that, if you'd like to follow us,
Yeah, by the way,
follow us.
like
Don't put
and
us on a pedestal.
subscribe.
Just hang out with us every once in a while. And if you want to, I'm going to put in the description also if you want to join our newsletter because we're doing a newsletter now weekly, which is a lot of fun, and it also talks about the things that we're doing and what we're up to in the studio as well.
Yeah, super fun. Really fun stuff. And this is the, take what you want and leave the rest. And you're a grown-ass woman and we want to help you build trust in yourself and curate your feed. Who do you want to expose yourself to? What kind of thoughts and ideas and insights? What is feeding your soul? We talk about nurturing as far as food is concerned, but nurturing as far as your intelligence, your learning, your capacity to grow, your insight. Be really mindful of that too. So Mandy and I would be totally honored if we were part of that process for you, because that is our intention. We want to
Mhm.
put this content out to ignite your soul and to really get you thinking and for yourself. For yourself, that's really important. Critical thinking and getting back to trusting yourself. So,
Mhm. Yes.
all right. So, that being said, we will see you on the next one.
Yep.